Welcome on guys back, my name is Senki from Digislots and today we have a really nice deck performing into BT12, going into a tournament in the Adventure Series 02 with near 300 players in Germany, playing Blue Flare, a deck that nobody considers in playing in BT12, come with a huge class, near coming top 8 with the 11th place, my team member Marco. Welcome to the channel, brother. But before we go into this nice deck profile, right, left, hit out the thumbs up button and subscribe for more awesome content. If we hit the 1,550 subscribers, we do another giveaway. The last giveaway is going out tomorrow. The package is right down there. And let's have fun at this nice deck profile. Leave a comment and likes for this nice deck profile. It's really well introduced, a nice interview with some huge combos. And let's see where this begins our Blue Flare journey. He was from the last words just a little bit flexing third place. So he's right now back at the game and top with Blue Flare. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, like Sanky said, my name is Marco. I played Blue Flare at the last Digimon Adventure Series 02 and went 6-1 and got 11th place. Sadly, I got bubbled out of the top cut, but that's just how it is.
Perfect. Why did you Why did you pick Blue Flare specifically in BT12?
Honestly, I'm not that huge of a fan of traditional Evo line decks, so I decided to play something more in the direction of hybrids or cross-hard. And I played Blue Flare in BT10 already, and so I decided it has a good matchup against quite a lot of the meta decks right now, and that's why I decided to play it.
Okay, perfect. Then show us the deck.
Alright, starting off with the eggs, we are playing 4 of the Vanyamon. Just honestly, generically, the best blue egg you can play. It lets you draw 1 on attack if you have a blue Tamer in play, and the whole premise of the deck is basically having Kiriha out, so you most of the time have that condition fulfilled. And as a 5th egg, we are playing the Babydomon egg, which lets you draw 1 when attacking if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, which happens quite a lot because usually Blue Flare's objective is to stun the enemy board, so that comes up quite often as well. Coming to the rookies, we are obviously playing 4 of the Gaussmon. This is just a really important key card. It lets you play one of your Blue Flare pieces, basically a level 4 or lower, from your hand on deletion. So it lets you play your Greymons, your Mailbar Dramons, and your Decadramons. You could also play another Gaussmon or the Dracomon as well, but it just lets you flood the board and get 3 swings in basically, and lets you play another thing, so that's really amazing. The next level 3, as I already mentioned, is the Dracomon. First, I wasn't a huge fan of this, but I kind of played it wrong, I guess. So it lets you, if it's in play and you play another Blue Flare Digimon, it lets you draw 1, which is really good because you want to find your pieces early and you need quite a lot of them. But something that's also really important is the Inherit, which says that if this Digimon is in play and you play another Blue Flare, it lets you gain 1 memory. And because you have Digimon that can slot things under them in the Digi-Evolution sources, you can slot in Dracomon, and then your next Blue Flare that gets played is just cheaper, so that's also really nice. Then kind of a meta call for BT12 was 2 of the Sayakomon. This is basically just for the Hunters matchup. It says that your opponent can't reduce Digi-Evolution costs, which is quite important against them because they always do that with their Tamers. However, this didn't even really come up in the tournament, so I was maybe thinking of cutting it, which is something I might do in the future, but it didn't really come up. But it's just a nice rookie to have, because otherwise you would also just be playing 8, which is kind of a low count in my opinion. Coming to the more important pieces, we are obviously playing 4 of the Blue Flare Greymons, which lets you reveal 4 cards from the top of your deck, and you can add up to 2 Blue Flare pieces. This is just one of the most important cards to find your pieces, and also the most important, the Inherit effect, which lets you restand when attacking if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play. That's also really important. Then obviously we also have to play 4 of the male Birdramon, which is the other blue flare piece you have to get for the Metal Greymon. This is just on play, it lets you play a Kiriha if you don't have one in play. Usually you want to play out the Kirihas playing the Blazing Memory boosts, but sometimes you just don't hit them. And then you could also just play Male Birdramon with the on deletion from the Gaussmon that I mentioned earlier, which then also lets you cheat out the Kiriha. You don't really want to play the Kiriha for like just playing it for 4. That's most of the time really slow and kind of bad. So that also helps you, and it also has the inheritable that lets you stun one of your opponent's Digimon until the end of their opponent's turn if they have 2 or more Digimon in play with this, which is also really important to slow your enemy down until you have found all the pieces you need to win. Then we are also playing 3 of the Decadramon, which let you draw 1 card plus 1 card for each of your opponent's Digimon in play. This is really amazing because there are quite a lot of decks that kind of flood the board at some point. So this came up quite often and let me draw like 4 cards on play, and what makes it amazing is just that you can cheat out all of these pieces with the Gaussmon on deletion, so that's really amazing. You also have to play this at 3 in my opinion, because you need it for the Deca Greymon, which is one of your most important pieces that you need for your bad matchups. The inheritable is not that important on this one, it just gives you plus 1 KDP all turns. If your opponent has 2 or more Digimon, doesn't really come up, but it's just nice to have. Then probably the heart of the deck and the most important card is obviously the Metal Greymon. It crosses with the Greymon and the Male Birdramon, and on play you can stun up to 3 targets that have less sources than itself. Well, if you cross 2 pieces under it, you can stun things that have 2 or less Digivolution cards, obviously. And it comes in for just 3 cost, which is really amazing for an 8k body that can swing twice if you have the Greymon under it. So that's really amazing, that's just the key card, and you also need to play this for the upcoming 2 Digimon that I will mention now. First of all, we have the Metal Greymon Cyber Launcher. First of all, I thought this card was kind of bad, but you have to play it because you need an out to stuff like Psychmon. One of your biggest counters is not being able to reduce play cost, because that counters the cross-hard mechanic in itself. And this lets you on play slash when digivolving bottom deck a level 3, which Psychmon thankfully is. And you could even, because it is treated as Cyberdramon and Metal Greymon itself, you can also use it for crossing Deca Greymon, or you could just cross it with itself, basically. Because if you do have Cyberdramon, which this Digimon considers itself as Cyberdramon, you can also, additionally to bottom decking a level 3, you can also bottom deck a level 4, which is quite amazing, basically. Bottom decking 2 Digimon, that's just really good. And the most important thing actually that comes up with this Digimon is that it additionally lets you slot one of your Blue Flare Digimon of your choice in its Digi-Evolution source. And why that is important I will come to later, when I will show you the spice tech that this deck actually has. The same thing with the Decadramon. It's just, this is basically your second most important Digimon that you have to play against your bad matchups, which are basically the tower decks. So Black War Greymon and War Greymon are probably the hardest matchups, because they can just kill you with 1 stack basically, and if they don't have 2 Digimon in play, you are also or always kind of screwed with Blue Flare. That's why you have to play the Decadramon, because this lets you unconditionally stun one of your opponent's Digimon if you have the Decadramon in its inheritable sources. That's why we play 3 of both, so we can out those big stacks. Also, why it's really important is because it also has the effect that you can slot 1 other Blue Flare under it, one of your choice. It doesn't have to be one of the cross pieces. And there's something really important with that card in just a second. Then as level 6s, we are just playing 2 Sea Greymon. And this is just amazing to slot under because it has the inheritable of giving blocker, which is quite nice. So you can do something like slot it under your Decker Greymon and you have a Armor Purge Digimon which has blockers, so you can block something and it doesn't even die. That's really amazing. And you can also Digivolve it on top of your level 5s to just restand and get another swing in. Now, sadly, I do have these 2 proxy cards right here. This is the actual spice of the deck. Thank you again for Jorit for letting me borrow his X7 superior modes. This is quite interesting. This was basically the most important card in the deck for the entire tournament day, because what you can do with this card, it lets you bottom deck one of the sources from one of your opponent's Digimon and then also bottom deck that Digimon as well. Why this is important is because stuff like Black War Greymon and War Greymon always have protection against bounces, but because you bottom deck the sources first and then the Digimon, they can't protect against it. So that's really amazing. The thing about this card though is, to play it, it costs 15 on play. That's quite a lot and usually is not a good play to make because you do not have that many different pieces in Blue Flare like you do in Crossheart, for example. So at best, it's usually, if you have all of the pieces, it's like 7 or 8 cost maybe, which is still quite a lot, but that doesn't really bother us because we are not really playing this on play, we are cheating it out. And I will actually jump to that real quick to explain it even better. The thing we are doing is we are also playing 4 of the Kaiser Nail, which is the spice of the deck basically. Because what you can do is use your white Tamers that you are also playing, or the effects of the Decker Greymon or the Metal Greymon Cyber Launcher to slot the X7 underneath one of them, and then you can play Kaiser Nail for 4 to basically just play the X7 from the sources from the Decker Greymon. So you play the Decker draw, say, okay, I will slot X7 underneath it as a source with its effect, and then you play Kaiser Nail for 4. You can play the X7 on play. You basically just cheated out a 15 play cost Digimon for 4. And that's really amazing, and it came up quite a lot because that's just such a huge memory cheat. You get another body. It's a really amazing body as well. It says that your opponent's option cards don't activate in security, and it's actually a your turn effect, so it doesn't just count for X7, it counts for all of the option cards, so no matter what Digimon checks. So that's really amazing, and obviously removing the big stacks, that's just the most important thing. And that's why we're playing the Kaiser Nail, because playing it normally is just too expensive. Alright, then we are going back to the Digimon. We are playing one Defexmon just because Hunters is a deck and they play a lot of Tamers, and de-digivolving the superior mode or just boards in general is really good, and most of the time it comes in really cheap because they are playing so many Tamers. Alright, that was it for the Digimon. We are going to the Tamers now. Obviously we are playing Blue Flare. We have to play 4 of the Kiriha. This is one of the key pieces. It lets you cross from under your Tamers, and you can cheat it out with the Blazing Memory Boost and also with the Mailbird Drummond on play, and it's just a memory setter, so that's also nice to have. Then we are coming to 3 of the Taiki, Kiriha and Nene Tamers. These are really important because basically you can slot things at the start of your turn from your hand under them to gain another memory and another draw, so it's just to cycle more of your pieces and also to extend your turns, which is also really important. Then obviously a key card for this deck is 4 of the Blazing Memory Boost. This is also just a really important card. It lets you reveal the top 6, and you can add up to 2 Blue Flare pieces, which is really amazing because, like I said earlier, finding your pieces fast is really important. And also, if you happen to hit a Kiriha in those reveals, you are able to cheat them out for free. So you have basically paid 5 memory now, added 2 pieces, played a Tamer for 4, and you can also use the delay effect in another turn to gain 2 memory back. So that's also a really huge deal because of the memory cheat that you can do. And to round it up, we have only one slot left. It's the good old one-off Ice Wall. It's still broken, to be honest. And there's nothing really else that you could play in this spot. It's just a one-off. And yeah, that was it for the deck profile.
Thank you, Marco, for the time and for the interview. It was really well explained by your side. Now all the players can play Blue Flare at maybe your level. What do you think about the deck coming at EX04 with a huge support? Do you think the deck will spot as a tier 1 deck?
That's an interesting question. I think that there's a lot of things that you can do with Blue Flare in EX4. The support it gets is amazing. I think there are kind of two ways you can play it. One more of the control style, where you continue to play the X7, and one that is more aggressive, where you can play the red pieces, aka the Greymon from the starter deck that lets you get +1 security under your Metal Grey, and the Metal Grey X because of the new Mailbird Drummon that we actually get, which has the inheritable of giving jamming. So because of the versatility that you have with Blue Flare, I think it's gonna be a really good deck. But I think until we actually play EX4, it's hard to tell if it's gonna be a tier 1 deck. But I believe it's gonna be up there with the top decks for sure.
Okay, perfect. For the last question, what is your favorite pizza?
My favorite pizza, Jesus. That's so good. I'm a classy guy when it comes to pizza, so it's usually just ham or pepperoni. Yeah, that's basically it. And I'm a huge sucker for having cheese-filled crust. That's
perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Marco, for the nice interviews and the combo play. I hope we'll see you soon on the channel. Maybe EX04. You will bring the deck at the top level.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Have a nice day.
Bye bye.